If you are looking at the best way to bet this week's biggest college football game, you've come to the right place. Two teams sitting in the College Football Committee rankings square off in Lubbock in Week 11. Unbeaten BYU visits Texas Tech. Two incredibly well-balanced teams, but a huge point spread here, which I think is weird, but we'll talk all about it as we preview this one. We'll talk best bets. We'll talk about LJ Martin against this elite Texas Tech defense and much, much more. Ninja here with Josie Costigan. Welcome to the channel. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. Drop your favorite bet for this one in the comments section below. Josie, Texas Tech laying 10 points here at home in Lubbock. Red Raiders have been incredibly good for bettors this season. They are 7-2 against the spread coming into this one. BYU not too shabby either. 6-2 against the spread. We could make a case, Josie, that BYU is being a bit disrespected in the rankings at number 7. But let's just look at this game here. 10-point underdogs, Josie. Is this a bit of BYU disrespect?
Yeah, it feels a little disrespectful on the surface. I mean, they're undefeated and they're catching double digits. I think odds makers are kind of looking beyond record here. I think BYU's kind of been flirting with danger all year. 3 of their last 5 wins came down to a single score, while Texas Tech has kind of been rolling. You know, they've covered 4 straight as double-digit favorites, and they haven't lost at home this season. So it looks steep, but I think it's more about how dominant Tech's been lately than the disrespect towards BYU. But still, hey, with how the Cougars grind out games, this 9.5 spread that I got, it's not a bad number to take.
Yeah, BYU has been a tough out this season, unbeaten, like you said. And while I do feel, Josie, that the 10 is a bit eye-opening, at the same time, I feel like Texas Tech looks like one of the more complete teams in the country right now. Like, is this a team, Josie, that can compete for a national championship? Because I sort of like the look of them here at plus 2,000. Is there any shot with that one, Josie?
Yeah, they're really, really well-rounded on both sides of the ball. I think they've been one of the most impressive teams in the country lately. Even in their last 4, they've outscored opponents like 162-48. I think Morton's been really good through the air, and then Cameron Dickey's giving them balance on the ground, and that defense is just locking it down. That said, I think their schedule's been just a tad light. Their only ranked win was against, Utah a few weeks back when they were ranked number 16. So as good as they've looked, I still haven't seen them face, a true top 10 opponent. And I think that's why this matchup really matters. I think it's going to tell us a lot about whether, they're built for a playoff run or they just love to beat up on lesser teams.
The strong point, I'll call it, for BYU is the ground game. That's been anchored by LJ Martin this season. Just under 800 yards coming into this one, 6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. He's been a workhorse for this team, but he's got a bit of a shoulder injury, and that could limit his production or the impact that he has on this game. How big of an issue could this be for BYU here?
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I think LJ Martin is kind of the engine of this BYU offense. He's top 20 nationally in rushing yards, and a big reason why I think BYU's been able to control the clock so well. They're averaging over 32 minutes a game, which is in the top 25. And when he's rolling, he takes the pressure off the quarterback, and that kind of lets them, open up the space and play their game. If that shoulder limits him, it changes everything. I think Texas Tech's defense is already elite against the run. So, if Martin's not close to 100%, BYU's kind of forced to, go to that one-dimensional attack, and throwing a ton against, this pass rush with, David Bailey and Jacob Rodriguez, who just loves turnovers. It's not exactly what you want. Obviously, Martin's expected to, return on the other side. Also, to linebacker Jack Kelly, who leads the team with 5 sacks. He's supposed to be coming back too. So getting both those guys back would be a massive boost for BYU on both sides of the ball here. I think the Cougars have managed to stay perfect without them, but those two are tone setters.
Yeah, dig a little deeper into this Texas Tech defense for me here, because it's as good as anyone in the country, in my opinion. They only allow 75 rushing yards per game, which is near the top. A bit more susceptible against the pass, but it's not like that aspect of this Red Raiders defense is a weakness or anything. But how tough is a challenge this game for the BYU offense? And is this potentially where the game is won or lost?
Yeah, this defense is going to attack exactly what BYU does best, which, is the run game. I think, again, the Cougars need to control the tempo in this one like they do well. If they can't establish that rhythm early, I think it puts a ton of pressure on that quarterback. And again, David Bailey already has 11 and a half sacks. Jacob Rodriguez has like 7 forced fumbles or something crazy like that. But again, this is a secondary. They have been beat before, okay? And I know Morton was sidelined in that loss to Arizona State, but that defense let the Sun Devils get on the board consistently throughout that game. So I think it's a major test for BYU's offense, but they've got to find a way to sustain those drives.
Yeah, that Arizona State loss looms big here, but will be a big win if Texas Tech does get it done on Saturday. Get to Josie's pick in a moment here. But guys, let me tell you about Prop Professor. If you're looking to upgrade your sports betting or your DFS, sign up right now, because to celebrate the start of the NBA season, you can get it at 50% off for that first month. Prop Professor drops hundreds of plus EV bets every single day. It's got a DFS optimizer to find plus EV DFS options, giving you a real shot at finding long-term profit instead of just guessing. So there's still 1 or 2 plus EV options for BYU Texas Tech. Small, but 0.5% plus EV. BYU plus 6.5 first half, minus 102 at FanDuel. Just a sample of what Prop Professor offers its users. You can sort through plays across the NFL, across college football, the NBA, and plenty more, all backed by data. It has got tools for arbitrage betting. It's got a fantasy optimizer, so you can cover all of your angles. And if you want to give it a try, use the promo code OddsShark50 at checkout. And remember, 50% off for that first month. All right, Josie, OddsShark Computer is literally right there on that 10-point spread. It is expecting a Texas Tech win, sort of in that 34 to 24 range here. No shortage of betting options for this one. What are you looking at here?
I'm taking BYU plus 9.5. I think BYU can keep this one well within that number. Again, they've been living dangerously and finding ways to win. But I like that. If you follow me, I've always liked the gritty team, and I think getting, LJ Martin and Jack Kelly back is going to be huge on both sides of the balls. I think Martin's return gives the Cougars a better chance to control that tempo and protect the quarterback from that, pass defense. Texas Tech has been dominant at home, and they may have the more, healthy, complete roster right now. But again, BYU's toughness and ability to hang around in close games is just as threatening. Cougars come in as underdogs for the 3rd straight week, but they've covered both previous times. They were around 4.5 points or fewer, but so, 9.5 is doable. Then for a game prop, I'm liking a Texas Tech minus 3.5 in the first quarter. BYU's no stranger to falling behind. Okay, they've trailed after the opening quarter in 2 of their last 3 road games this season. Texas Tech is the total opposite, averaging 12 points in the first quarter, nearly double the amount than BYU. 5 meetings at home, the Red Raiders have been up by at least 2 scores after the opening quarter. But more impressively, they haven't given up any points to opponents in that span too. So I like them to come out early, but not necessarily hold on to that lead.